What's good, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This is your boy DJ Fastnex here with another episode review of Harley Quinn, and this time we're doing the last two episodes. So we're doing episode 9 and then episode 10, which is the finale of this season, season 4. So let's get started with the episode 9. Just talk about what happened in episode 9. So in episode 9, this is when Harley finds out that she has a clone that's been running around doing things on her behalf. With the last couple episodes, you remember Harley and Ivy were like in the future, so you never actually see the point of what the clone was doing and just who the clone was. So when it shows up that the clone is around, you find out that Detective Gordon, or Security Officer Gordon at the moment, was making a baked potato and accidentally put the baked potato in one of Lex's cloning machines in the Legion of Doom. I don't know why he still decided to do it. They told him it was a cloning machine in the beginning, but I can understand why people would get confused because of all the technology that was in the kitchen of the break room at the Legion of Doom. So yeah, he ended up getting a piece of her hair stuck on the potato, and that's how the fake Harley was cloned, or the fake Harley was made. So we go to them freaking out that one's there, and that the clone was there. Then later on, you find out that Ivy decides that she wants to go ahead and confront Lex about blocking the sun out because it was making her weak and she couldn't get no powers. So it didn't only just affect Superman; it affected her too, and most people on Earth, because we need the sun. So that was kind of a big thing they did in there. And so she was like, "We're gonna take him down, whatever." So Harley actually comes up with a good idea to help. Well, not help, but a good idea for Ivy to try to push Lex off the board, so that way he wouldn't even have any influence as far as dealing with the stuff. And that way they could get him to turn off the laser that was actually blocking the sun out. So she was all happy because Harley came up with that, and so later on we get the fake Harley. That's when the fake Harley was telling her, they had a conversation to try to find out who killed Nightwing, and Harley was like, "Oh, I already know who did that." The fake Harley said, "I already know who did that," and she was like, "Who?" And then the fake Harley told the real Harley it was her. So she's like, "No, it couldn't be." Blah 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 blah. They kind of went through this whole little line talking about how it couldn't be me. So we go back to Ivy, trying to find a way to get Lex off the board. So she's going to try to get. She basically went campaigning to get votes that people help vote him off the board, and it basically came down to both being equal and one person that each person needed to keep them on the board or take them off the board. Basically, that's what it was. So the guy who they needed to get, the last board member, he was doing a golf tournament, and lo and behold, Ivy goes out there to be in the golf tournament. She doesn't know nothing about golf, none of this stuff. So she decides that she's gonna try to convince this guy to vote for her to get Lex off the board. But then come to find out, Lex is there doing the same thing, basically trying to smooth up to him and try to basically get cool with him so he could just vote against Ivy. But yeah, so basically they're both trying to convince this member to vote against one another. So later on, as Harley's now freaking out about the fact that she killed Nightwing and she doesn't understand how. So the clone Harley, Potato Harley, basically said that you were sleepwalking and you didn't know that's what you were doing. So you end up killing him and putting your bracelet on him and then just leaving him there or whatnot. So she was like, I gotta see what happened. So she goes to Dr. Psycho. He goes in her head and basically shows her exactly what happened. She freaks out. Dr. Psycho is like, oh my God, we know who killed him. This is crazy. We gotta find out. I gotta tell everybody, let everybody know who did it. Blah 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 blah. So I think at this point we already know that uh, Joker came out and took credit for killing Nightwing, but it already came out that he wasn't the one who killed Nightwing. So Dr. Psycho was going to tell everybody, but she knocks him out. She calls Flash to basically do a prank on him, which basically what he did was reverse time and made it seem like she never asked him to help her, and that helped. And so Flash was like, "Booyah!" He basically and like he got pranked Doctor Psycho. Doctor Psycho was like, "What the hell's going on?" So they left. And there's a whole little joke thing about how the Flash always does pranks and everybody doesn't get them, and yeah, this is a whole little thing. And so when we go back to Ivy's trying to convince this guy to vote for her, and she's talking mad trash to the Lex about golf. Excuse me. And so yeah, she talks this whole trash about Lex, how she's about to get this thing, and she has it in the bag because he was basically kind of understanding what she's coming from. He was leaning towards Ivy. So Ivy goes to swing the golf club, and that literally goes in the dude's ass and kills him. So now the dude's dead. So now there's no member to make the last vote. So that basically means that Lex gets to stay on the board because it was no majority, because there's always majority rules. So then yeah, so basically we go back to that. So then Harley meets up with the fake Harley to say, "Oh, you were right," blah blah blah. And then the fake Harley was like, "Yeah." So now I have to do this, and she basically arrests the real Harley and says, "You're a criminal, so I got to arrest you because this is what I do because I'm part of the Bat family and all this stuff like that." So they have a whole fight, and the real Harley ends up getting out and throwing the fake Harley into the Batmobile and locking her in there or whatnot. So we go back to Ivy. Basically, Ivy kills the board member. After she killed the board member, news reporters are interviewing her about, like, what happened, how did you do that, and then we get a call back to one of the earlier episodes where Bane gets a text message from Clayface, and it's like, "Yo, remember the deal? You gotta embarrass her on live TV. I need you to go ahead and handle that." And Bane was like, "Oh Lord!" So he basically headbutts her on TV so she could get humiliated on TV. And Clayface was like, "Yeah," he was celebrating it, and that was so funny. And so, like, we go back to Harley's talking to Ivy. Actually, no, to Batgirl, to tell Batgirl, you know, try to get Batgirl kind of back on track, because this Batgirl's now on the tower trying to turn the bat light on and off. She's turning the bat light on and off because she's like just still in the daze and doesn't have any real understanding of why, who killed Nightwing and all this stuff like that. So then all of a sudden, when Harley shows up, the fake Harley shows up too, and she's like, "How'd you get out?" She's like, "She's good." So they start fighting, and Batgirl's trying to understand which one is who, and they just fighting, talking trash to each other. And then Batgirl said something about the world is black and white, basically. And then the clone was like, "Yes, the world is just black and white," which gave Batgirl the understanding that was the fake Harley. So she hits her, and now the real Harley has the upper hand and starts beating her up, and basically kind of throws her off the roof, and she basically explodes like a potato would if you threw her off a roof. So that's when kind of Harley was kind of getting in a situation where she feel like she killed her, even though it wasn't a real person. So Batgirl was trying to tell her it's not a real person, and she's like, "But why was she trying to attack you?" And she's like, "Because she the one who killed Nightwing." And she's like, "Oh, motherfucker!" Like, so basically, Batgirl was on board with the situation of the fake Harley was the one who killed Nightwing. And so I think they go back. We go back to Ivy, and she's now in the Legion of Doom. They getting ready to do the vote. basically, like I said, it's basically an even tie. So so Lex gets to stay, but then the dudes who was the last one who died, who Harley killed, his wife shows up and she has the vote. And Harley basically, Ivy basically convinced her, girl power type stuff, and so she votes for Ivy or whatnot. And so Ivy takes over, kicks Lex out, and she takes over. And Lex is like, screw this, guys, I'm going. And he leaves and he goes to his moon, on his moon base, to, just to live out the rest of his days there or whatever. So, that's how the episode 9 ends. So like episode 10, the finale, literally starts off as Ivy is just not convinced like things are really, like she really won, like something else is up. So everybody's talking about, like, she's basically trying to say how she's running everything now and how everybody should be happy because Lex is not doing everything. The sun, the sun is back out, and all this other good stuff, because they asked her to turn off the laser, and she turns the laser off, and the sun now the sun is get back out or whatever. So everybody's like kind of like, oh, you did your thing, girl, but at the same time, like, everybody was still like cool with Lex, and Lex was having a party, his 40th birthday party. They said it was like the 17th time of him turning 40th, which apparently was stupid as hell, but it was like, he's having a party on the moon, y'all should come up. And so they was trying to convince Ivy to go. Ivy was like, I'm not going to that, and she was just tripping. So we get to where I want to say Harley, what was she doing in this episode? Harley and Ivy meet up, and basically they're talking about just the differences between what they were doing beforehand, and just like how they need to take matters into their own hands. And so she convinces Ivy to go to this party, and both of them go to this party. And so they just went to the party to just cause mayhem and havoc, to go ahead and kill Lex. Basically, that was the whole point. So they get there, everybody's excited because Ivy decided shows up, and basically turn the other cheek and all this stuff. That's what they thought. So they go in there and they do this whole thing where they have I think it was, everybody had plus ones. Oh, side note, let's go back. I forgot to say this. I want to say that happened in the end of the last episode. As Harley was consoling Batgirl, and she told Batgirl that the fake Harley was the one who killed Nightwing. Right when they was like getting over the trauma, the Joker shot Batgirl, and Batgirl became paralyzed, and he's laughing. So in the beginning of this episode, that's what Harley was doing when Ivy was trying to understand what was going on. Harley went looking for Joker, and she goes to his house, and she's fighting the mother of the kids that Joker married, and so they're fighting. And the by this time, if you remember in the early episode, the wife and the kids done went crazy because they like the Joker. They done went crazy too, and they down for the cause of his, the dad killing people. They're okay with it, and so she's fighting Harley, and then Harley was like, "Look, you better tell me where he at." And so then the kids came out with weapons like, "We're gonna kill you," blah 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 blah. And so Harley was like, "No, I'm gonna kill you." And so she looks at the mom, and the mom, she gives in, because she knew Harley was gonna kill the kids if she didn't. So Harley's taking Joker with her, and Joker's like, way to threaten kids' lives. That's how you got away with this, and whatever. So she drags Joker back. So now we go back to when they actually went on the moon, and she has Joker on a leash, blindfold, and he doesn't know where he's at, and she's just using him as a lapdog basically. And apparently a couple of other people who were on the moon basically had everybody's, apparently the plus ones were like dogs. They were treated like dogs or whatever. So Harley was the other plus ones were treated like dogs, but Harley had a plus one, which was Joker, but she was technically considered a plus one because she came with Ivy. So apparently she met up with all the plus ones, and they were talking about how it's exciting to have a new member in the plus ones that's not a man, or it was some weird little conversation they had. And so Harley was trying to find out where the bathroom was, and they told her, Lex doesn't let anybody use the bathrooms. Any females or something like that, or plus twos use the bathroom. Plus ones use the bathroom here. You got to go to the other side of the moon to another base or whatever. So she goes over there, and while she was snooping, all of a sudden she sees Superman in a green kryptonite case, straight up, no strength, no nothing, no hair. He just bald and he's weak. He's like, "Save me, let me out of here!" Blah 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 blah. And Harley was like, I'm in the middle now. I don't do that anymore. Like, I'm not quite a hero, but I'm not quite a villain. So yeah, I can't help you. I don't want to get involved." And so she's like, "Well, let me go find my girlfriend and help her take down Lex." And then that's what Superman told her: "You're not gonna be able to take down Lex because basically he took my power and everything. Once when he took the sun away, he got me weak, and then he captured me and took all my power, and he even took his hair." And that was so funny. So then we go back to Ivy, who's in the party. She's already try to get everybody else to kind of get on board with like being able to kill. Well, she was talking to everybody else, and they kind of just made her feel weird about everything. And so that's when they was like, Clayface came on to sing "Happy Birthday" to Lex, right? And a big birthday cake comes out. And in the middle of like right when Clayface started to sing, that's when Lex jumps out, and his Lex suit, talking about something, it's Super Lex, like Superman. And he has a hair full of hair. And I'm like, what in the world? So apparently he done got all, like I said, he got all Superman's powers or whatnot. And then the robot takes over the other stuff that wasn't genetically given to him, like the laser eyes and all the other stuff. But as far as the strength, he had that, and he was able to fly and stuff. And he had Superman's hair. So it was just so funny how he went in there talking trash about how he got it. And so Harley was like, "Oh, Harley, you came. Good thing you know how to understand what the real thing is." And he's like, "But you shouldn't have came here to, I didn't have enough food for party crashers." And she's like, "Oh, I ain't come here to eat. I came here to kill you." So they start fighting, and he just working her. Like, she thinks she's doing something, but he beating her up. So that's when like he was about to kill her, and that's when Harley comes in and basically saves her. But then he mops the floor with both of them and throw them in a closet, and he's laughing like ha 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 ha, whatever like that. And so Lex, he's now just taking care of the party. They threw them in a closet, just a regular random closet, like nothing was gonna happen. Like they weren't gonna try to come back out and try to fight. And so they talk about how this whole thing is stupid, and how um, being trying to be all the way evil or try to be all the way good is not working for them. But they got to come to the understanding that they're in between people. Like they're the people who are in between both evil and bad, evil and good. And so they came up with a plan to go ahead and steal the Lex that laser that Lex had, and to destroy all the other crazy companies that was on in Gotham, which was the ones that was owned by, I forget, I want to say one chick's name was Victoria, the other one was what's the girl name? Talia Ghul, and it was another one, and it was another company, and then they wanted to destroy the Legion of Doom. But when they was on their way to go get the laser, Lex saw them and he was chasing them. So what they ended up doing was they needed to get into this one building so they could get the laser, and they asked Batgirl for help, and Batgirl helped them while she was in the hospital, because she was in the hospital from being shot by Joker. So like basically Harley Quinn was visiting her so much, but she told Harley Quinn she didn't want her to visit no more, because she basically, even though she was like paralyzed, she didn't want everybody to treat her like she was weak. And even her dad was there. So like even they had a scene where Harley was leaving the hospital, and Gordon was like, "Oh, who did this? And I found out who did this. I'm gonna kill them," and do all type of crazy stuff. So they had a little scene where Gordon was over there tripping out about who somebody hurt his daughter. But what killed me was his daughter had the bat mask on. So I'm like, did he know his daughter was Batgirl? I want to say they might have did say that in the earlier season, but I can't remember. Well, I want to say it was like last season when they introduced her, either last season or the season before. But yeah, like I didn't know if he knew that his daughter was Batgirl. So she like yeah, so she was just there trying to do some work and trying to find out like what was going on and all this other stuff like that. So when they called her, she ended up hacking Lex's car that he was in and had him basically fall in a crater on the moon and crash. So they go to the other little the base and they find a laser, and so they blow up these three buildings and they blow up the Legion of Doom. But before they did that, Bad Girl had basically told everybody to evacuate all those buildings so they could just destroy them. So they did it, and so when they were getting ready to leave, they decided to blow the building up, and they were leaving, and Lex was like, "I'm going to stop you guys," and then right before he could, I think Ivy had called in a favor from what's his name of Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf comes and takes Lex away from and via boom tube, and so he's like no, so he leaves, and then now this place is getting ready to blow up, so everybody is running, and then everybody's going out like Harley has Joker on the leash, and they're getting ready to run, and she realized, oh shoot, I gotta go back. And so Ivy was like, what are you talking about? She's like, hold this leash, I'll be right back. So literally she goes to save Superman, and then they get off the moon, and basically the moon blows up, which entails cracks the moon in half. So we get back to Earth. I think it's like 3 days later after it happened. You see Superman putting the moon back together. You see Ivy. No, I'm sorry. Was it Ivy? I can't remember if it was Ivy or if it was Harley. One of them was behind this tombstone, and they were taking a piss or whatnot. And so she's like, longest piss ever. I think it was Ivy. So then they were talking about just different things and how they're going to change up their dynamic of just being who they are and being in between, where you could use some of your good to help whatever, and we could still be evil. That way we're not, crossing the lines of anything. So they decided to, live like that. And then as they were talking about doing some stuff, they start kissing, and Barbara comes, and she's now in a wheelchair, and now they're setting up different things, and they're saying we could be a team to do stuff. And then right when she came out, Catwoman shows up, and they were like, Catwoman, what the hell are you doing in the cemetery? And she's like, she was grave robbing, but then she came across this grave where basically it was Nightwing's grave, and he was missing. Somebody took his body out of it. And so they was like, what in the hell going on here? And they was talking about how they could be a team. And they came up with Gotham City Sirens, which is, a famous team in the comic books with them. But Barbara was like, why don't we be the Birds of Prey, which is another famous team in the comics, but that's usually the Huntress, Catwoman. No, I might be wrong. Catwoman is Huntress. I think it was Canary, and then it was Oracle, which is Batgirl, because that's what she is now in the wheelchair. So they show her. They talk about it. They're like, oh, we could be a whole team with Catwoman and everything. And so that's when they was like, we're going to find out what happened to him. He's like, but it's the weekend. We could take the weekend off. Ain't nobody really doing nothing with the dead body. He's already dead. So come to find out that Talia and Talia was put him into the waters of the to be what is it called? Basically the waters to bring him back to life. And I can't believe that thing is like really the Lazarus pit. Boom, there you go. Like that thing was like eluding me real good. I don't know why, but yeah, they put him in a Lazarus pit, and he was coming back. And so she was telling Damien, "Don't be alarmed. Your friend won't be this like he was beforehand." And so he's like, "What?" And so then that's when Nightwing comes out, and he's like, "Where is Harley Quinn?" And then the episode ends. I was like, "Oh shoot!" They setting that junk up. So they setting the new team up, and then they setting the fact that Nightwing isn't supposedly not dead now, and he's coming hardcore for Harley. So that's gonna be funny. That's gonna be an interesting situation. So, and I know that's probably gonna come back to where the whole Harley pinning his death on the clone might be like contradicted by the time he comes back, because he's probably going to say some facts where the clone wasn't around or whatnot. So yeah, so that's how that season is. Pretty good season. I'm not gonna lie, it was. I like this season better than last season. The last season was pretty good for me. I know a lot of people was like it kind of fell off, but this season definitely like picked it up 100 times more for me. Crazy, crazy antics on this season is funny. So, in some other news before I get out of here, is we're gonna talk about some little small things that I didn't get a chance to talk about throughout the last couple of videos of DC news coming up. Let's start with the one that they actually introduced in this finale at the end. If you didn't know, if you stayed and you actually watched through the credits of Harley Quinn this last episode, at the end they give you a trailer of a new show, which is basically they doing a Kite Man show, and so they show the first trailer, and that should be coming soon. Now the trailer they show is pretty interesting. It looks like it's going to be like Harley Quinn, but it's just going to be a different. Like it's going to focus on Kite Man and the people around him. So like I think it's his new girlfriend. They did show Bane in the background, and they're probably just gonna do other. They're gonna explore other villains and heroes in this world that we have in the Harley Quinn universe, like in Gotham and different places. That trailer looked pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie, that was nice. And then speak of trailers, we had the Aquaman 2 trailer, which looks dope, but I'm still hearing how this movie is not like, it's not testing well. Like the movie is just so bad, which shows that's why we had so many freaking reshoots and just changes to what it was supposed to be from the initial, the initial announcement of the movie to now. It's a lot of stuff. So like not only did COVID mess up things and push production schedules back, but apparently this movie was so bad that they had to keep going back to the drawing board to try to make something work out of what they had. So from what I've seen in this trailer, it looks good. But now, will this story be cohesive and put together great, good enough that I would enjoy the overall story? I don't know. I hope it is. Being that it's the last DCEU movie before we get into this new DCEU, this DCU universe. So let's see how it goes. On the TV front, Warner Brothers suspends like different contracts with different people, and one of the biggest ones was Berlanti. That's the guy who did all the Arrowverse shows and just like the different TV shows regarding DC, like on CW and different places like that. So with Berlanti's contract being like suspended, it makes you wonder like is he even gonna get paid for anything else that comes out? Because we still have a couple of we have one, if you want to call it DC, Arrowverse content, but I guess they decided to change it. But Superman and Lois, yeah, that Lois and Superman, I think, that has been going through a lot of things right now where they basically significantly took down the cast of that show to where now it's been probably going to be pushed back until not even this time next year. It's probably going to be later than this time next year because of now the strikes. So we got that going on. So it's a lot. So his contract being suspended, anything that he had in production or any ideas that he was going to do dealing with WB, whether it's the DC Entertainment or just any other projects, but I think it's all just the DC stuff. I don't think he was doing anything else. I may be wrong on that, but all that's suspended. So all the money that he was supposed to get or they contracted him to get, that's all gone now. Like, so all that work you try to build up to make this universe or to make this group of content, you're not getting paid for it or even acknowledged. And with this strike happening as long as this happened, it could honestly it could go from being suspended to just straight up canceled. So if it's canceled, that means all the hard work that you put in to show these people that you are worth the money that they need to spend on you goes down the drain, and you have to start all over again. Even though he has the goodwill with the Arrowverse stuff, that stuff still gets like kind of basically cut off. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, because it's not just Berlanti. I'm just talking about the DC news now, but it's a lot of people across board, from J.J. Abrams to different things, different people in the Warner Brothers state that they're suspending the contracts. And then the last thing I want to talk about is with the Batman 2. We all know that's coming out, and a lot of people are thinking that the next villain is probably going to be Clayface. Which, I mean, I could kind of see that, but I kind of want to see a Clayface in a different style of Batman movie. But only reason I want to do that is because I know it's like, even though they're going to make this comic booky, they may try to be super realistic with how they did, because you see how they did the Riddler, where he was kind of just like a crazy, like psycho killer type of guy who just did different things, and it was kind of weird. It's kind of more of a realistic take on it. Even with the little scenes they showed of Joker in that movie, it's kind of like this super realistic take on it. So I don't know how they would do Clayface, because they might change up just the whole aspect of why he's Clayface. Maybe he could change his face and his face only. You know, like, I don't know. It might be some weird realistic take on it. But what I want to talk about today is basically that they are already talking about actually introducing a Robin into that movie, and that's gonna be crazy because we already have another Batman movie being made with a Robin in it, and in that particular Robin is going to be Damian. So we're gonna get this new one where this Robin is going to be Dick Grayson, and I'm just like, why are we finna make two Batman movies that's gonna have a Robin in it? And that's kind of crazy. But we'll see how that's going to be. I haven't heard any more since they initially announced it, so we don't know if it's actually official that Robin is going to be. They're going to use Robin in this movie, but it was something that a lot of you know the trades had picked up to talk about, just different things happening. But yeah, with that being said, everything is. I'm done with today's video. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything that you want to talk about, you can go ahead and comment down below. Make sure you subscribe on everything DJ Fastnex, all social medias. Just put it in, you'll find me, and that way you can keep up with all my events and things that I'm doing throughout the weeks and months. Until next time, guys, I will talk to you later.